version of it, and I don't think it shows up that way. Anyway, it is about onboarding. I'm gonna start a few minutes early. I think we have plenty to talk about. This is something we discussed at one of the district tech meetings at Curly Ridge, and we were asked to do this today. And it's a process that we go about all the time. Parts of the year is more, we're more concentrated on that than others, but it seems like we have turnover all the time now in our districts. So onboarding and offboarding. If y'all want to, you can get these slides. I have some other links in the slides that might be valuable to you, so if you get this, you'll have those links. An agenda right there, what we're going to go over, just a brief little cyber tip. We're going to talk about new staff hires to start out with, and what we do before the hire, if we do have any time, interact with them before. We're going to talk about threats that come with the new hire, and those can be intentional or unintentional threats that they pose. And we're going to go over that IT checklist. This checklist is just a working document we had at our meetings. I thought it might be a starting point for y'all if you don't have a message about it. We're going to not look at it as positive. We're just going to discuss what we might talk about to our new hires, policies that they need to know about, when the person started. Cybersecurity topics that'll be beneficial.
We're in room 6.
And don't forget the remote part of this as well. There's a good chance, this could happen again in the future. What happened in COVID, where we send our workforce out and we have different concerns when that happens. And we'll finish up with offboarding. This is important. That's a good example. And takeaways, you gotta leave early. Takeaways on that slide. So.
We were just talking about you.
All right, I like to put this one out mainly because that was the first AI profile. It's not me, but the version of me. So 30 pounds lighter at 10, and better dressed. I keep it up. It's like a small profile pic that I use. So that's my contact information there. My name is Leon Brown, I'm tech coordinator at Curly Ridge Co-op, Northeast Arkansas, just south of Jonesboro. Daniel Franklin right here is the DIS, who's been helping as well today. Go ahead and slide on that. The tip of the day, and this is going to go out throughout the year until everybody does it. Two-factor authentication. Won't spend a lot of time on it. We've already been, beat with that. It's just a matter of doing it, getting started with it. But two-factor authentication is so important, and it just saves the district, saves us, from having down the road, just another layer of security outside the password, two-factor, and then access controls. Just those layers we gotta start doing in the district. Okay, I want to see y'all's expression when you read that first question.
Oh yeah.
What opportunities do you get to interact with new hires? Do y'all have any interaction with new hires? None at all. What's the normal process like?
We usually create the email, and then depending on what kind of new hire they are, issue them a device and their ID card, and that's it.
So Kelly already started this. I took over from him. There's a whole onboarding process. So when a new hire gets hired, they have to schedule a time to go into HR and get all their stuff ready. They also schedule a time with IT. So we get with them, we go over a huge checklist, sort of like this. And we hand them their laptop, we go over tips and tricks of a laptop, what they can do, what they can't do. Password, we help them set a password. We don't know the password, but we help them set a password they should use for a complex password. Set up their two-factor authentication while we're there with them. And all that. I don't take credit for that. I took over that process. So it's a dream boat process that
So
I need to keep going.
the finished product, we're gonna talk to it. Still in the back. Another one to share. So
They're actually, and they're rewriting the script back to the creation user account, as well. I think that's what Michael said.
Yeah,
So we have where HR currently puts in the new hire information, that's script on the creation, you kind of emails the user and all that stuff.
So the process starts with HR.
Just my bill would just gonna be the wall here.
I think you'll see in a
Doesn't have
second,
to be,
it's not,
but if you guys
not like
open
that.
it up, I mean, the drape wall.
What concerns do we have with a new hire that not as much for
So like I have a whole
somebody that's already
I
in
just
the
not
district,
gonna
it's
set
been
that
under
up.
the law.
So I'm okay if you're okay.
And in the cyber
Whatever you
sense,
guys
what
want
we
to
worry
say.
about new hires coming in.
No, it's.
Maybe they hadn't gone over our policies,
Um,
maybe they don't know that AUPs, some of the cyber policies we have.
Maybe they don't know what a phishing email is.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's
Cybersecurity
it was just weird
topics,
because when I put.
hadn't been briefed on those.
No, and
That's not the
and
way
maybe
you
it's
start
not
thinking
on
about
me, I just, when I set it up.
This is what I used to go about something like this, I would check
It's not on
this,
you guys, I just.
sometimes cyber is hard.
If-
They'll come in my office, I need an email, okay. no
But I
problem,
mean,
right
I don't
here.
wanna create more hassle for you guys,
Okay,
so if that's just gonna create more hassle. then-
Email, device, all that stuff.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, my only.
So these are some of the things we worry about with new staff hire,
As people come on and.
you know, IDs and,
I get it.
you know,
Okay,
correct
yeah, let's just
spelling,
leave it
all
how it
that,
is.
you know, the contact
No, you're working
information,
with me, yeah.
department, start date, name, software, all this is important. It's all important we get the right information with that.
Okay, cool.
Hey, thanks for working.
Ordering
on that.
necessary equipment, sometimes it's
Also,
a
I wanna
transfer of
fix
one
my-
teacher to another, sometimes we do have to order new equipment for the
Yeah, man, I got
new
these,
hires. Determine the software access and what's needed. And, you don't have to raise your hand, but is everybody using the least privilege,
Man, I love that.
access, standard user for,
So, I saved up and got them. Thanks, man.
get approval for accounts. Sometimes it's not just up to IT, you know, who gets on the e-finance, AR Active Directory, you know, not all that, but AR Active Directory has to be set up before, you know, we get into e-finance, the grant programs and e-school as well. So that's all something to be concerned about as well. Number 5, provide new employees with guidance on how to get in their mail. Sounds like I have a great process that you actually walked in through some of it. Having instructions for the new hires might be beneficial. Not just give them, you can log into any Gmail, you know, our mail, just actually give them some instructions on how to get there and maybe some tips on how to use it.
I get it, cause otherwise if they run into the booth.
6, discuss preferred tech equipment, that's just for different groups in your district.
Well, just think through that.
Anything else we're missing off this short list? This isn't comprehensive, like this.
Just drop that in.
Okay, alright, that sounds.
So we talked about,
Thanks, man.
things we do, I actually pulled this from sysadmin, I've been putting names on other districts or whatever. So these are actual quotes from around the state. I think the original question was, you know, what's your onboarding process like? And so we get everything from a board report, and that's key right there in a lot of these. You get it from a board report, Excel doc that HR puts together. And that's real good when HR is involved in that, giving you information. That second one, we have 2 emails from HR, hire and resignation, so we know when you get hired and know when they resign. That bottom one's my favorite, is Frankenstein's monster. That's what the whole process is right there. So you can see some of us are grappling with the onboarding, offboarding process a little bit different than others. We hear about a new hire through the grapevine. Sometimes that happens, especially with turnover during the year. You know, it might happen, I don't know, in between board meetings, but it happens where we might not see it, and, you know, they come and say, these are our new hires, so. Last 2 are our general process at the moment is to check the board minutes. Again, board minutes and hear from someone, admin or on campus, and the last one is I get an agenda ahead of the board meetings. What's the common theme right there is, does everybody here check their board minutes for new hires? Is that one of the ways to do it? I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, but that's generally. This one, BJ Burgess, I don't know BJ Burgess anywhere. I'm glad, you had the best one.
I just realized you emailed me last week about the form, and I did not respond.
Well, glad to meet you. I put your name on there because it was a good one. Had a good process, probably something similar to what you're using at P-Ridge. But you have a Google form, you wanna explain it a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, it started several years ago and just kind of grew, but essentially, we already had some kind of form. We had an IP form, and then, it came from our deputy superintendent that we obviously needed to improve the process, but all of it starts with that form. So if somebody's gonna get hired, there has to be a person in the district that's interviewing them and recommending that they get hired. So whoever's gonna be their supervisor fills out the form. And that form asks, all the information we need for creating their account, plus information about, the central office might need as far as like what building they're gonna be assigned to, what the job title is. We ask stuff like, do they need access to finance, school, what does their supervisor think they need access to? Now that might change after but, essentially it's an HR form, but we use it for IT. We don't have to watch board minutes because they fill out that form before they even get put on the board minutes.
I was curious how you get notifications on that.
I have actually a notification email through a form add-on where if somebody, when the supervisor fills out that form, I'll get it.
Okay.
And then I have access to the spreadsheet, It's worked out pretty well. I mean, it's not perfect. We use, applicant tracking. It used to be Talented, now it's always that, it's not.
Ours is a lot of it, but it's called applicant tracking, called hire, it's called, talented applicant, there's all those names.
Anyway, we use that for, new hires to fill out all their paperwork, and then we have an online employee record system that they're in before they get into, finance. But this form starts it all. That's what we use to create once we create their account, very similar to what they were talking about with P-Ridge, email fires off to supervisor to fill out the form, and the employee's personal email letting them know your account's been created and these are your first steps to get going on your account.
Sounds like a great process.
Only reason I put that up there, cause you said to contact you if you wanted a copy of the stuff, so.
Yeah, I actually sent a copy of that form to somebody. I just now realized you emailed last week for it, and
Yeah.
it gets buried in those sysadmin.
Oh, definitely,
emails,
yeah.
I don't,
Yeah, it's not every day.
I only check
Check your mail.
sysadmin once in a while.
Any questions with some people who got a process going?
I don't know if this is much of a question, but is anyone requiring like cybersecurity training for new hires? I know somebody mentioned that new person might not know what phishing is.
And they've gotta sit through before. Now, it's not like before you can access your email, but I just put a time limit on it, so if they don't have it done, I'm gonna throw them a different security group that turns off outside email. Then if they still don't do it, we may go into more extreme measures,
We use
suspend some accounts.
We use Nova before too, so like once a year I'll send out training for all active employees, and then if you're hired after that, then you'll automatically get assigned training.
Okay.
And I can usually do within, 30 or 45 days of your account creation. You can't expect a pair to walk in and have to do training on the first day,
Right.
so we give them a grace period.
Right.
So that they're not.
One of the images I was gonna put up here was, there's so many tips for teachers on the first day, things to remember and all that. One of them was 20 things to remember on your first day as a teacher, and out of those 20, how many do you think were cyber related? Is that a 0? So you look at all those, not thinking about cyber, that's for sure. Intentional threats, or unintentional threats. Number 1, what do you think that is? Unintentional, using unapproved technology. Could be low or both, isn't it? Yeah, if they know the policies and they do it. Yeah. What about falling for a scam?
No, I'm talking about AT&T, like they have
When I think of that, I think bookkeeping now, first thing I get that straight down. Uncontrollable incidents. Unintentional. What about sharing data with unauthorized parties, if they know the policies? Yeah, could be. And that really depends on us, doesn't it? Depends on if they have their training or not. Knowingly visiting dangerous sites. And that's usually intentional. Where does most intentional come from though? Is it your teachers? Or students? Anyway, students in that. Luckily, come on, don't worry about that. And accidentally clicking on phishing. And it doesn't seem like however much training we give them, it's always gonna happen somewhere. And like General Millrock says, so they're always clicking all the time. These are some of the threats laid out. This slide, the next one, I have this one, some mitigation on the next one. But intentional harm, you know, what process do we have at your district, co-op, that can mitigate that and to notify you if something like that happens? Bad password management, that's something we can control, very much have control of that. Too many access rights, also something else free that we can control. Clicking on bad links, and this particularly is talking about phishing and emails. That's something we'll talk about in a second. Mitigation, social engineering. It's happening more and more. Phishing, you know, they're finding out things about us where they can con people and scam people, and to give enough information. And number 6, I know it's something we've dealt with over the years a whole bunch, is what they call shadow IT and personal devices, and that's using unauthorized apps, you know, things that we hadn't whitelisted, you know, they get around it some way. Bringing personal devices, I know in the old days of bringing their own Wi-Fi, you know, or something like that. Now it might be a personal device of some sort, tablet or whatever, but we have to worry about data security on those now, so. I put the mitigation kind of in order just to speed this up, because I gotta get some other stuff, but, intentional harm, you know, it would help. We had what we talked about, EDR, that's gonna be one of the next big things, you know, that all the districts need to be looking at. If you don't have it now, you know, how do we get it, you know, how are we gonna cover the cost of it and all that, but EDR will help solve some of the conflicts that we have, help to mitigate them. Segmenting networks, if intentional harm happens, maybe it's just limited to certain parts of the network. End-to-end encryption, that's kind of tough on all devices, but use it where we can. And backups, you know, how's our backups? Bad password management, you know, my thing right there is enforce strong passwords, you know, that's something we can do very easily right there. And also establish clear and comprehensive policies. We'll have a policy slide in a second, 4 or 5 that we might want to pay attention to when we have new hires coming out. Clicking on bad links, social engineering, shadow IT, these kind of go in order right there, but different mitigation techniques right here. A lot of it boils down to the controls we have, doing the free ones, doing the strong passwords, the access rights, talking to them about policies, giving them cybersecurity training. Some of the things we can buy are things like email threat protection to help against phishing. This came up in a conversation the other day, promoting skepticism. They said they had so much training that you know, the people in bookkeeping or wherever that is or whatever, they were scared to click on it, or they would come to the text, you know, oh, is this, you know, this a good link or bad link, whatever. That's actually a good environment to have, probably, is where they're trying to question every link and making sure it's right before they click it. And also MDM on remote devices, on tablets, all the things we can't control in our network, or on our network and off our network. So 2 solutions right here, or 2 scenarios, I'm sorry. If you'll read that first one, they kind of tie into some of our takeaways. Employee uses personal file sharing service to store company documents for convenience, which lacks the security features. Improved corporate solutions leading to data exposure. How can a company's IT department mitigate the risk associated with the use of unapproved software? policies help out with that? Or whitelisting certain software?
Mainly, policy education on that one.
Next scenario, the hacker poses as a technical support agent and convinces an employee over the phone to reveal their login information. And what verification processes do we have that we use maybe to combat that?
Smaller schools do a little better, because they kind of know, know people a little bit, and they recognize the voice. Well, not to get AI involved, but they have to record it. But still, it helps a little bit. Bigger school, it's a little tougher to do.
Yeah. So at least over the phone, but maybe in person to verify. And you're right about AI, now they have what Meta has an AI voice, they don't even use because it's so accurate, so they're gonna use that in the future. So yeah, it's gonna get tougher, as technology goes on, it's gonna get a little bit tougher. This onboarding, offboarding checklist that you have right here, just some things to note right here. This is broken down into assets, that first part of it. The second part is something you might look at, and I don't know if it's something you check off when you hire somebody, but that first one under directory access is a Gmail or a 365. Then we have our Active Directory. It'll be your local Active Directory, and then we also have the AR Active Directory. eSchool, eFinance, state grant portal, and online backups, things of that nature that we'll have to give rights to depending on their position. A little bit down below that are VPN and RDP accounts. We have F5 and AnyConnect listed right there. And they've kind of steered us away from RDP on a lot of connections, but especially with teachers, you're looking at those top two right there, F5 and AnyConnect. The electronic version of this, I cleaned up the bottom notes. Those bottom notes are just some we put in there to have talking points during this. But they are good things to go over. Some of the questions when you talk about, when you talk to new hires, if you have the time to do so, is maybe just good techniques of, where you're storing your data. Do you have policies to store it online, or do you let them use the downloads, on the computer? How often do you clean the downloads? That's been, kind of suggested to us that we clean those up on occasion, the documents, downloads, all that. Be wary of what sensitive data is on our computers. So these are the policies right here. They're probably beneficial if we can get the information in front of the hires. We don't have time to talk to everybody. Maybe we have a handout, maybe we have an email, maybe we have some type of process we can get these policies out where they can read them. Now we can't make them read them, but some of these are cyber incident reporting plan. That's something we went over at ACOT last year and I think the year before. Does the new hires know who the data person is at the co-op, not co-op, but your district? So who's the data steward? Who do they report a data breach to? Who do they report a cyber incident to? Is it gonna be the principal, you, tech coordinator, director of technology, whoever? Review of your processes and systems at your district, that'll be one. The new technology resource policy, I'll put a link in that. 504 was actually two policies in there, and it's technology resources, plus it's a cyber policy. So it might be a little confusing right there. That opens up to the commissioner's memo though. The other policy is the data privacy and sensitive data policy, and that's a sample that I have in that link. And it's this one a couple of districts have worked off of to get theirs going. And that is something I believe some of the leg audit questions center around. They started asking for a data security policy as being one of them. And it would be nice if everybody had the same questions, on every audit. But I know at our co-op, you know, we have once a year acceptable use policy, and when we have a new hire, we have them go over it and we sign that, so that's definitely one we do. But these other four are some that we might wanna mention some of the language in that too, our new hires. So these are cybersecurity topics, and these are kind of outside the policies, could be included in some, but number one, pretty much is phishing, that you won't have discussions with the new hires. Some of us have campaigns that we roll out to new hires, and some of us don't. So we at least need to tell them to be wary of emails, but it's kind of hard for them to really know that until they see an example of that come across and know what to click on and everything. Incident response, if something does happen again, who do I report it to? You know, when do I report it? Usually immediately. But yeah, we need to know the players, who the teacher is supposed to contact. User privileges, you know, it's okay to tell a teacher, hey, you're getting these access, you know, standard access, you know, you're not supposed to download anything on this. If you do, come get one of the tech team to put that on there. It's okay to tell teachers security tools in use. It's probably good if they know what they are and let them run. So if you have something that's gonna scan their machine, tell them not to turn it off, to delay it, or if they have the controls to do that. So if you're using Bitdefender or Microsoft Endpoint or a malware device, something like that, you know, let them be aware that that's on their machine. And also maintenance tasks, Windows updates, any type of updates that are necessary for that computer are important for a new hire to know that that's happening again, so they don't push it off down the road. And I put this slide in just so it's there, just so we're aware of if we do remote again and some of the things that are involved with that. You turned in, I don't know if you're 24/7 all the time now, 7 to 5, what your hours are when you're answering your text and your phone. Back then that was 24/7, wasn't it? Pretty much. during the COVID years, it turned into basically a full-time job. Every minute, every second you're on call. Have to worry about other things more, like the personal devices, shadow IT, you know, they're gonna use apps you have no control over when they're at home sometimes. You know, we can't control their device. But some of the things they need to know about is when they use those devices, what they have our data on it. There's kind of a gray area right there. They're using their devices with our data, you know, it's technically district's ownership of that. You know, some people find out that the district owns their email too. We tell them that up front, but some people don't understand that sometimes. Also public Wi-Fi risk, this general knowledge about, you know, best practices with public Wi-Fi. Those are good things to talk about with remote. So we're gonna venture off into offboarding. Does anybody have any questions about the onboarding process? So offboarding, you think, well, I would do just exact opposite of onboarding. We'll just go down the list backwards until we get to the end. It's a bit different. It's real similar but different. What does your district's offboarding process include? Here's some examples right here. Involves paperwork, reminding employees of data theft consequences. It's actually reminding them of, you know, PPIs, you know, student information, how to protect that. Also taking back security keys, tokens, whatever we've handed out to give them access to our network, our devices, we need those back. This is a little bit outside of cyber, but probably one of the most important ones. If you have somebody that's been there a while, especially, it's transfer of knowledge to a colleague. If you have somebody in the tech department, that's, you know, they've been running different hats for you, it'd be nice if we could transfer that knowledge over to somebody new before they leave. So it's always a brain drain if we can't transfer that knowledge over to somebody new. blocking personal information, from district devices. What's the process like when you're offboarding, you have a teacher device? Do y'all just delete the account or re-image the machine, or what's that like when they're handed the devices when you take them back?
Re-image.
Re-image. Total new account, re-image, and all that. What about, Google accounts?
Reuse those.
Great alias.
You say one, teacher O2, and you see that.
Yeah. Do y'all suspend or delete or whatever?
Suspend for a little while.
Suspend for a little while.
You never know what you might have to do.
Or depending on why they left. If you have to go with a lawyer
That's true.
and find information.
What you discovered working with Google, you have that, you can't delete, you gotta say what.
So what we run into in bookkeeping, we had a user lady, but she's been there for years, and talk about, transferring out there, she knows it all. Had a lot of stuff in her, coming through mail, come on her drives, anything like that, and admin was wanting to keep her account open, change the password, and did all that, but they're there to keep that, account alive, instead of moving all the stuff over, Run into cases like that, but for the most part, you're gonna suspend accounts and get back in if you need to. Changing passwords, and the last two right there is disabling access to 80 accounts, revoking access to cloud servers, and revoking access to email. Are y'all doing your quarterly reports? Leg audit can ask for quarterly reports about your user activity for eSchool, eFinance, AR Active Directory.
Well, no, like, it legitimately wasn't working.
Don't know if I've run that, but it is a question we've been asked for several years.
Oh, well, all right.
So,
And
for,
so.
new users you deleted. Just a way to keep track of, you have current users in your system. You wanna keep, accounts
And your little
alive.
computer thing or whatever it is, it's something inside does not work, obviously. So like, it took it apart. I started hunting down.
Has your district experienced any of the following due to effective offboarding? Loss of
Where
sensitive data, confidential data,
and then it splits off.
loss of shared files.
And
That's
I wasn't getting any output, but I'm getting input.
They're not shared drive, shared drive, yeah. Very common.
Found one for $11.
I know, I believe Managed Methods has
school
a
audit,
way to look at the
right.
shared files that are out there, and it's probably a way to
That's
do
how I ended up
that
with
in Google Drive itself, if you know how to get there.
I
I just wonder how many files are just sitting out there and that nobody knows about, that they're sharing with somebody. Nobody has control over, student information, whatever information might be on there.
And so, well, me and Todd ran over this,
Don't know what's
we'll
going on.
quiet everything, he goes, Eli, I'm glad you're here, saved us a bunch of money.
Have you experienced a data breach? Maybe, maybe not.
TCL.
Loss of financial information.
And, just shut in trap. Let me have it.
Compliance violations.
Went through it, same thing.
That last one was one that hit us, is loss of equipment. Not that we lost it, but we just couldn't use it when
From
we
the
got
level
it back.
before.
And it was mainly for something like tablets,
4K. Yeah, 1080.
iPads, things of that nature.
So, I bought it.
Used to, we'd take somebody at their word, they'll hand in a tablet, we'd get it back, and, well, they've already left, don't have the passcode for it.
Big, tall.
Okay, we track them down, get the passcode. Now we go in there, don't have the Apple ID, and for the new ones, it's hard to jailbreak those last new ones. You can't get software to get around it, but it always leaves something in there that, it's just a little bit off. But yeah, that was a big concern for us, and now we have added to this list, you hand in a device, we want all the credentials you use, with that device.
So he brought it down and I paid, $40 to get the new LED backlighting and whatnot, replaced all the backlighting panels.
And, they created a Gmail account and transfer everything from.
Okay, super happy.
Yeah, I had another teacher
Gmail
that just
to
brought me,
their own Gmail.
Good question. We've had people leave where they asked me to transfer stuff, and I appreciate that, but, yeah.
And the girl.
How do y'all do
It
it?
depends on what information they're transferring.
Really, I don't know what it could be.
Well, so we've
I don't know how you would even know.
We're
I don't
using
know a way of
Ride Vision
shutting that off.
with Google Chrome,
You know, in
Chrome
Google.
boxes for like signage around the
Right.
school,
I don't
house, everything like for the
with
inspirational quotes and menu, you know, lunch breakfast, digital sample or whatnot, or. But all the TVs.
But you're not gonna know it until.
So afterwards.
Oh, no, yeah, we didn't know
Somebody
it was
like turns one off and then turns back on, and it wants to connect to the internet. And I'm like, no, tell it no.
That makes
It
sense,
doesn't
you know,
need to be connected to the internet, you just need to get source HDMI one, and I'll let it go.
Transferring it.
Yeah, it's a lot better when we know they're leaving. Ahead of time, so, yeah.
Go through.
Those occasions where they do something intentionally, and
Back on,
this
it's like,
catch us
this
off guard.
TV's not connecting, you need to come fix it, and so I come down there and I'm like, source.
Anybody else lose equipment or access to
They're
equipment?
like, oh my god, you fixed it so easy.
We had the same
Yeah.
issue, tablets, like I said, iPads especially.
Arkansas Digital Sandbox is free for digital signage.
How do you handle when they bring back the class and they wipe it?
It's all of our.
Does that drive you crazy? I know something's going on in there, or they're not wanting to show something, and there's nothing I can do about it, really.
Or get it back and it's busted to pieces. They've already got their last check.
Yeah.
Just sign up for it.
I think we've actually started charging for some stuff as it goes on.
Why does that bother me that you're broken stuff for not coming back?
Yeah, I've got that on back of my head, cause I use a Maui.
Okay, and we're getting close to the end here. Ways to improve your district's onboarding process. As far as passing knowledge on, you know, if we could have training, not training, but if we could just have a sit down with whoever's leaving. If they have a specific job and they need to relate something they know to somebody else, that's always beneficial. We can do that beforehand. Have an automated offboarding process. You might have an automated process.
Those solid quality, I don't like the cartridges, I don't like the
Automation for us.
That's my problem.
Revoke email accounts, revoke access to a lot of the things we gave access to. Change passwords, you know, in my case, we're still using a few accounts that where a person's to change passwords or suspend, others. Monitor this company resources. I do have a link right there. This is an excellent article right here, by the way, on offboarding, but I found it was good enough. I could throw it in here for K-12, but monitor all company resources. So we'd be monitor all district resources if possible. What about this next one? I thought this was very interesting on this next to last one, was implement an exit survey. Anybody done anything like that? Maybe just I think a survey would be best. We wouldn't be able to interview anybody. We wouldn't have the time to do that, but maybe a questionnaire that goes along with anything they sign going out, any questions you find beneficial from them. I don't know.
Periods was doing that at one point, just to learn was offboarding survey. It wasn't automated, I don't think it was more of a, but yeah, we're doing that.
Other than somebody that we had to let go, I haven't been there properly yet, so I'm not sure I don't think we let that.
That being said, I don't remember if I sent one or not. I don't remember. I think I was. I think I was sitting off for a survey that week.
And the last one here is revoke any administrative access that you've given out. It's probably more for somebody in an admin position or whatever admin accounts are out there. This last slide are the takeaways for today, and these are very important, and this is something, we're starting to hear about more and more, from Chrissy and the group is, what are our access levels that we are, handing out to people? Are we putting administrator accounts to, teachers or counselors or whoever? We need to set those down to the lowest, available So that top one with the onboarding is using the principle of least privilege, you know, for everybody. Use it whenever possible. And that second one is in the offboarding is to maintain a detailed offboarding checklist. And that is something we started doing at co-op, is more detailed. They'll go in, talk to the director, and they'll have something to, you know, check off. And again, we're collecting passwords, passcodes, or whatever they might have used on something we might reuse and not be able to reuse or whatever. So yeah, maintain offboarding checklist that causes all security considerations. Anybody want to expand on any of those?
So my previous district, Pocahontas, where I was from, we didn't have anything as robust as what we did, but we had a spreadsheet. So we have a district admin office, which is secretary that sits in the front for reception. Right? So she kind of handles making sure the board minutes go out to all the staff, they get uploaded to the website. So after a board meeting, we have a spreadsheet, and in that spreadsheet, we do it by year, and we call it staff changes. So it pretty much is this, almost to a T. A little less wording, but it's, you know, got a checklist down it. So it's in 3 sections every year. So we have new hires, leaving is what I called it, and then transfers. So anytime there's a board meeting, there's a change, the next morning, that secretary goes in, she makes the change. I also have forum notifications, it's an Google add-on, they send you an email when there's a change that's made. So that gives me the notification that I need to go in and either create an account, shut off some accounts, or maneuver through some Google groups or whatever to get them where they transfer to. But anyway, that's how I know to do all those things. He uses it now, but it's a checklist, and that's all it is. And it's very easy to keep up with. It's only shared with a few people. And the HR can use it for part of their checklist and background checks, you know, put a check beside it, whatever. So multiple people within the district can use it, and it benefit everybody. So.
Does this work the same throughout the year? Like say a teacher resigns last week, you know, you get the same process?
Yeah, so it.
Not any different than.
All I had to do was get admin, the superintendent, and that secretary to agree that, hey, we're all gonna kind of use this in the administration office. And there's no personal identifiable information, it's just first name, last name, there's nothing else there. But so if someone were to leave, or I need to spend some accounts or whatever, that's where the word comes from. You put in a ticket, I don't care, I'm not doing it, unless it's in that spreadsheet, and I know it came from that one thing. So we had that buy-in, but it works out pretty well.
Having thoughts on this? Alrighty, we finished close on time. Appreciate y'all sharing, you know, everything you do. That's a good stuff. Thank you for agreeing. Yeah.
One thing that's come up in the last couple of years for us, and it's mostly with administrators, leading the district, is what access, if any, do they have for social media accounts associated with the district?
Yeah.
That's becoming more and more, the district have access to those accounts, and they're mostly hard to implement in terms, but, you know, it's a new thing, it's not, I'm just thought about it sitting here, you know, it's not, we've had that for a while.
That's a fun thing. I was wondering how much control we have though. You know, see what it's.
Yes, yes it is.
Is there a way to get to this presentation when you're using a link setting?
Right there,
Oh,
that QR code. And this is in there on all the slides, another QR code.
When you actually log in, just put your name and password in, just don't worry about it.